Today, we'll be talking about mindful meditation on the road. And many of us, whether commuting or traveling across country, we spend a great deal of time in our cars driving. And much of that time goes to waste. I mean, we're wandering in our thoughts and sitting there behind the wheel for inordinate amounts of time. I'm Ben Ufana, by the way. Even though this is a shorter article that I'm completing, there's still a lot of detail. So I'm going to refer to my article. I'll be reading some sections because I want to include what's important here. So, anyway, let's dive into it. So, for me, spending inordinate amounts of time commuting across the United States is 1 year's time. I drove from New Mexico to Boston, then New York, and then back to New Mexico. And then I would stop in Kansas City, Chicago, Kentucky on the way. And sometimes on the way back or there as well, I might stop in Oklahoma. And not necessarily on that order, but there were hours and hours in which I was sitting behind the wheel. And it could have been especially torturously unbearable, except I had this really thick notebook of CDs, mostly jazz and experimental music that I like to listen to. So I would be listening to CDs much of the time. And so parts of the trip were actually kind of enjoyable. And then over time, they eventually came out with audiobooks. And so I could be listening to audiobooks as I'm driving. So instead of wasting time, I'm learning something of value. Late one evening, commuting from Santa Fe back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, I started breathing into the sense of deadness and loss I was feeling in my heart that arose in response to a former girlfriend completely severing all ties. That was because her then fiance threatened to leave her if she was to continue her friendship with me. And at first, I didn't feel much, just faint itching sensations. But as I continued to work with this practice night after night, the feelings grew stronger. There was loneliness, longing, sadness, again, that profound sense of loss. And as the nights continued, it felt as though my whole chest cavity was aching. But I kept on. And as I worked through all those feelings, processing the many layers of emotion, I could feel these emanations of warmth starting to flow from within. And there was also this profound sense of connectedness with the higher power. Since that time, I've continued to work with this practice, especially during long drives when the traffic's not too heavy. I'd be following whatever feelings or bodily sensations arose, continuing to breathe into whatever I was feeling, following it as it would go through its progression, often continuing to do so for hours at a time. Now, a very important word of caution here. Drowsy driving is one of the leading causes of automobile accidents. And so prioritizing safety is crucial. If by any chance you're feeling tired, pull over at the nearest rest stop or parking lot or wherever you can, where you feel safe. Take a nap and sleep until you feel rested enough so that you could be alert in order to drive safely. If you're going to practice meditation while driving, make sure you can stay fully alert and focused on the road. In a sense, driving meditation is a form of multitasking. You have done it for years anyway. For instance, listening to music while driving. For me, doing this meditation practice as I drive, it heightens my awareness, making me even more cognizant of what's happening around me. Other cars, potential road hazards, the highway patrol or speed trap up ahead, a stray dog, deer, a raccoon, or skunk in the road, or even a bird veering into the path of my car, along with the overall flow of traffic. And not only do my senses become sharper, but my response times also improve. So if I see that squirrel in the road, I'm more likely to hit the brakes and avoid hitting it. However, if you feel in any way that meditating while driving is compromising your ability to drive safely, well, stop immediately and focus back on the music you were listening to or the thoughts in your head or whatever else you were doing. Again, your safety and that of others always comes first here. Having done so much meditation practice over the years, I naturally breathe into any feelings or bodily sensations that arise, any conflict, any stress, no matter what I'm doing, where I am in the moment, whatever's coming up, I'm breathing into it. But I don't even attempt to do this practice if I'm on the freeway navigating heavy traffic. I'm not trying to get into any deeply relaxed or meditative states. When people around me are speeding or rapidly changing lanes or otherwise driving aggressively, in these instances, I am totally fine being hypervigilant. Driving meditation works best for me when I'm on open stretches of road with little traffic. I've always found it much easier to practice in the evening hours after dark when the world feels a bit quieter. I start by bringing as much awareness as I can to any feelings or bodily sensations present in the moment, breathing softly and deeply, fully immersing myself in those feelings and sensations and following them as they naturally progress. When specific concerns or issues arise, or if another person or situation is evoking emotional response that warrants my attention, then I'll bring all these elements to the forefront of my awareness. And I'll then breathe gently from the depths of these feelings and bodily sensations that are surfacing in response, allowing myself to explore and process them fully. How you breathe during driving meditation is also critically important. I make a concerted effort to be fully mindful of how I'm breathing deeply, drawing air all the way down to my abdomen while also expanding my rib cage, breathing in fully, filling my lungs, and then exhaling completely. In doing so as slowly and softly as possible, it puts me into a much deeper, more relaxed, more mindful space. What happens here is there's a deepening. I can feel myself descending progressively deeper into the depths of any feelings or sensations that are emerging. At the same time, I sense my body and mind shifting into processing mode. These feelings and bodily sensations often grow stronger. And I can feel a sort of digestive process taking place, a sorting through of any issues or concerns that have been on my mind. In addition to the deep level processing of my lived experiences and emotional responses, I can feel myself becoming more connected to an inner source, a source of nourishment from within that helps to sustain me. As this happens, the feelings and sensations within my body become much more pleasant, and the long drives are transformed into a valuable time for both reflection and introspection. Reflecting on the external events and experiences while also delving deep into my inner thoughts and emotions. And as a bonus, the drive seems to pass much more quickly. At times, you can also gradually expand your awareness to your surroundings. For instance, for me, driving through the American West in states like New Mexico, Colorado, driving along the California coast with the ocean on one side and the mountains on the other, or through the mountains of Colorado, the deserts of New Mexico. And I feel myself tuning into the mountains, the deserts, the animals, all the vegetation. And by focusing your attention on the elements around you, again, mountains, deserts, trees, rivers, lakes, streams, or the ocean. This practice not only deepens your sense of connection to the earth, but it also allows you to derive nourishment, grounding, and replenishing you as you drive. The idea of driving meditation may sound unusual or even unsafe to some, but this practice is not about zoning out. Driving meditation is about heightening your awareness. By cultivating focused attention, you can reduce stress, tone down the road rage, and it becomes more natural with continued practice. And remember to work with this practice when you're on open stretches of road where traffic is lighter. The benefits extend far beyond the road, spilling over into other areas of your life, improving patience, reducing anxiety, and helping you to enjoy the journey itself, both behind the wheel and beyond. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to look below, click like, subscribe, share this video with anyone you feel will benefit, like truck drivers, for instance. Also, I teach driving meditation and a whole series of intensive meditation practices that I've developed over the years. So look below, you will find a link and you can reach out to connect with me to either message or call. Also, look for the link for the more detailed article.